Good morning. I will have the pleasure to discuss the topic, quite hot topic, about the future of urban mobility. And I will have the pleasure to discuss this with Aram Sargsyan from the FreeNow. So let's start with some diagnosis. So in recent years, there was a huge discussion about how urban mobility is being redesigned by the pandemics, by the war of Ukraine and skyrocketing prices of fuel. And you as a company probably have enormous data about how people commute, how people move around the city. So do you really see, based on your data, based on your business insights, that there are some profound changes in urban mobility in recent years?
Actually, yeah. Pandemic, it was an awful period of time in a way, but also a big opportunity for cities and also a big kick to change the habits. So what we have seen so far is, of course, you couldn't have not noticed that people moved to remote work, lots of them, and that swing basically pushed our demand for the rides significantly down. For quite some time in many countries, the demand was even down by 80 to 90%. And we already see that most of the countries have recovered when it comes to rides count, but there are lots of shifts when it comes to habits. So we see quite high spikes when it comes to Friday evening or Saturday evening rides, when the daily commutes are less frequent. And we see lots of shift towards the public transport as well. And we, as a mobility super app, are very much now focused on implementing all possible transportation means in one application, because we know that this is what users are willing to have. And we also have seen actually quite an interesting change when it comes to business clients. Previously, for example, one of the bigger benefits for regular employees was when companies were leasing a car and giving to employees for their regular commute, and this was a big benefit. And since pandemic, this hasn't been a big topic, but we see contrary companies willing to give to their employees mobility budgets, and so that mobility budget covers all kinds of transportation means. And this is also something that we are now really pushing towards to our corporate clients. We have this offering for them when they have a basically single contract with us, and then their employees can travel with any transportation, which is quite nice to see. City-wise, the pandemic really gave a big push to cities to think about what they really want to have in the city center, in the city landscape, how they want to develop it, and also gave them an opportunity to start lots of construction work. I mean, you can see also in Poznan, the whole city is being rebuilt, probably also a result of this kind of thinking shifts.
Yeah. And when we were discussing before our discussion on the stage, you told me that you operate in different markets. You operate in Poland, in various cities, you operate across Europe. Do you see that there are some unified trends which are visible across continent? Or do you see that, for example, such of these key changes, key trends are visible more in bigger cities like in Berlin or Paris, or in smaller cities? How do you say, are there any geographical differences? Are there any scale differences in comparison between big municipalities and smaller cities?
Yes, definitely. We are operating in 9 countries and covering more than 150 cities. And you can easily see that cities are different, countries are different. There are countries where most of the population is concentrated in 1, 2, 3 cities. And there are countries where you have more even spread out population. And also cities are right now in a different development stage. So I mean, there are some that are still reconstructing, adding bike lanes. There are some that have already completely transformed their city infrastructure. They have the lanes, they have the rules. It's very easy to commute and even to walk. But I don't believe that there will be a single solution for all. The city that has a 20 million population and city that has a 2 million population, they are going to have a different needs, and there will be different solutions when it comes to how are you going to commute from point A to point B. And I'm looking forward that technological companies, together with the city government, city transportation authorities, will be competing and providing the best possible solution for the users to take a decision how to move from point A to point B. And that would require having mobility super apps where you have all the possible means in one place, where the user is taking actually the final decision whether wants to go for the fast, for the cheapest, for the comfort, or the combination.
Okay, you spoke a lot about the user's needs. Do you observe that, because some discussions were like, pandemics will change everything for a long time, it will change some things permanently. So for example, when you observe your user needs, what could you say about remote work, for example? Do you think that people still, a huge part of workforce stay at home, work from home, because there is conflicting data from different sources. So if you look at mobility patterns from your customers, are they coming back to offices, or do they still prefer to work from home?
First of all, I would say that from country to country it differs. There was an extreme swing towards remote, and it couldn't last for long. You should always, whenever there is something like this kind of an extreme swing, you always have a backlash. It goes back. So what we are seeing right now is this backlash, and also based on the user patterns, how they are commuting, we see that people are getting back to work. It's definitely very far from pre-pandemic levels in terms of habits, so it's not a super regular ride. But I do think that we will have some kind of a compromise, a sweet spot where both, like you will have a productive office work and also productive remote work. This hybrid format is going to stay, at least in Europe for sure. We'll see that. Okay, and we were discussing before that this interconnectedness of different services is key right now. That we have this multimodal transport, and this is important in part due to the climate needs, due to technological changes that we are dealing with. How would you say, from the perspective of such company as yours that do work for clients, that provide service for clients, what are or what will be the key challenges in terms of providing services that help people choose more wisely, that help people choose routes and fares which are more climate friendly, which are less fuel consuming? How could you help in this climate transformation? How could you help in these mobility changes for individual customers? I mean, I would go from individual actually to general consumer base, because individually the best option is to give them the widest choice and recommend the best option at this moment to use. But I think we will have a bigger impact if we start cooperating with city authorities more tightly, we start hand in hand working towards landscaping the cities in a way that we are being a lot more environment friendly. We can share the data and suggest how, where are the hotspots, for example, when it comes to demand, how we can organize the parking areas, what should be actually the balance between different transportation means, and with this go towards more sustainable mobility future. Okay, and you spoke about cooperation between such companies as yours and urban authorities.
I would guess that such a company as yours is a goldmine of data about citizens' behaviors. Do you really see that there is a demand for your insights? Do you really see that urban authorities across Europe come to you and ask, please tell us how do these people move, how these people spend their time, where they go, how often they go? Does this cooperation is already a reality, or is it just a matter of the future?
So just to make sure that we are not sharing individual, there's a GDPR, we are all following it. Yes. But yes,
on an aggregate level, of course.
On an aggregate level, anonymous aggregate level, we are indeed cooperating, and this is very useful data. There is you see that need from many places. There are cities which are actually still being quite traditional. Poland is not one of those. As a country, we do cooperate quite well, and I mean, look how Warsaw has improved for the last 10 years, and all the bike lanes that have been added, all the transportation means that have been added, and we are also really happy that all the operators in the city are in our application, like Tier.dot, and you can use it with us, and we are also looking forward to add car sharing, and also sharing back all the data with the city so we can help to contribute to a better future for Warsaw and other cities in Poland.
Okay. The title of our panel, the title of our Fireside chat is The Future of Urban Mobility and How Such Apps like yours could shape it. So for the final remark, for the closing remark, let's imagine that we are 20 years from now, that we are in 2040, for example. What is the landscape of urban mobility? What is the future of urban mobility? And how such companies as yours could prepare to those challenges of the future?
I would say in, let's say, 15, 20 years, we will see only 1/3 of the private cars being available to population. Like the rest will be more on a public transportation, shared mobility, share scooters. Taxis are going to stay. It's a huge market, and it is covering individual needs where public transportation is not able to do. And we will definitely see technological companies like ours competing each other and to provide the best possible service for the users. And we will see more greener, car-free city centers, I would say, especially for cities that are mid-size.
Okay. So it was a brief discussion about the future, and the future is quite exciting as we discuss this. So thank you very much for your insights, thank you very much for your discussion, and thank you for your audience.